Yes. We told them we don't worry about it. We do something else. It is now 5:30. We want to call the city board meeting into session. We are now in session for our regular scheduled board meeting, May 14, 2024. We are now in session. First, we have the invocation. May we bow, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you once again, humble as we know how. Thank you for the many blessings you bestowed upon us and our community. We don't forget about those who still stand in need, those who are wanting and waiting for the best things to happen and the best days to come. We know for with you we can do anything, and without you we can do nothing. So we always be sure to give you the honor and the glory where it all belongs. Help us to make sound decisions. Help us community pull together. When we're together, we can't fall apart. With your guidance, your goodness, and your mercy, and your amazing grace, we will continue to move forward for best days and better days for this community and for our region and for those who suffer abroad in Ukraine and Gaza and all. We thank you for the blessings and the protection of this community, even during the storms that we've seen in the past days. For your many blessings, we thank you, and your guidance we appreciate. In Jesus' name, amen. May we stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I want to thank everybody for coming to our meeting tonight. First thing of business, in order of business that we proceed tonight will be to approve our minutes from our regular meeting, April 9th, 2024. Are there any questions or concerns from all? Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Do I hear a motion? Motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions, corrections, concerns? Hearing none, I'll call for the motion to approve. All in favor, let it know by the sign of aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Okay, first up on our agenda tonight is Mr. Joe Barton, our community leader. Number one volunteer. Would you come forward, please, and give a brief overview of what Jordan CDB is doing and all of that, because Joe has to go for all these bodies and present for actual money. He's not asking for money, just to update.
No money.
No money.
I am gonna start this. You can start this. That's something to do with what we, it's a combination of, three-star grant that we get from the county, also along with some pilot dollars from IDB. We embarked on one of the subcommittees that we, have within the Joint ECD board is the marketing committee. And we felt very strongly that we needed to tell our story before somebody hopped on and just told our story for us. So we contracted with Mad Genius. Mad Genius has started their first phase. Their first phase, what I just handed Alderman Pugh, was a very unique approach in that they created personas. And we didn't quite understand what that meant, but they created people, as y'all are going to see in this book, that hypothetically might want to move to Brownsville. Businessmen, mothers, different restaurateurs and stuff like that. So what they do is they take this particular persona and then they craft a message that you send out to those personas that make them want to come here. So we've gotten through phase one. Phase two is going to take into branding. So there's more to come on that. Public safety is another subcommittee of the Joint ECD board. That has been quite honestly, it's just a hot potato with the county, and the Joint ECD board chose not to go down that route. I think there's enough cooks in the kitchen on that one. The education and workforce development is another subcommittee of the Joint ECD. Some of you may have heard in the news that the Industrial Development Board formed a subcommittee to research the desire to fund a new high school. So through that, there has been a funding request for a new high school that then has to be worked out between the IDB. At this point, the Joint ECD Education Committee is pretty much out of it. We put the parties together and we'll let them figure out what decision it's going to be. Another subcommittee is the infrastructure subcommittee, which I think Mayor, you, and the Brownsville Energy Authority and some others are supposed to be on a conference call tomorrow to talk about some sewer issues. There really hasn't been a whole lot on the forefront of infrastructure, simply because we haven't been inundated with development at this point. There have been some that have come in, different fast food places, stuff like that. We've been able to accommodate them, but no major infrastructure plans at this point. Economic development is another subcommittee, again, and you can see where I'm going with this, because all these subcommittees, you'll notice, are getting to do less and less and less work. That's because we're hiring people, like Aaron Stewart, to do more and more of what we set out to do. So Aaron, I'm not calling you to give a report or anything, but he handles the economic development side of things, so there's really no report there on that side. Quality of life, as you know, deals with a myriad of different things. I think the city all embarked on a parks plan. That it's not being led, it's being led by the city, but it's definitely being inputted from the Quality of Life Committee as far as their research. And the land use plan. Let me start with Stanton first. We have completed the land use plan. We have sent it to the various boards for approval. Stanton, I don't know where they are. The mayor says that he's gonna take it to the Stanton Planning Commission and then go through all the processes, and maybe he will, maybe he won't. The county, I was at their planning commission last week. They did move to approve and push forward with the adoption of their the land use plan as it has been presented. It has to go through several public hearing, and then it has to go through their county commission, of course. And then I'll end it with the city. So where we are with the city, we had a workshop on it 2 weeks ago. 2 months ago. And so the city planning commission has been working on it. We are supposed to take it up on the 23rd. We will then there's a few revisions that we want to make in that. And then when we do that, then we will have a public hearing, correct? And then once we get all the dust settled, it will come to y'all for 2 readings. And then we will hopefully have an adopted land use plan. That's what we've been doing it's been a while since I've been before you. It said it didn't come for any money, so that's why I didn't come before you. Any questions?
Well, I want to say thank you. Let's give Joe a round of applause. I'm going to tell you something. When everybody starts talking about planning and we need to do something, we got to move forward. We say, man, you're way down the road. But you were the guy that stood in front of the city council, the county commission, the IDB board, and anybody would listen. I said, we got a plan. If we don't say what we want, we might get anything. And for that, I think that's very important. When no one else can see that vision, Joe was standing in the door. And we have a lot of conversations, and my extended family can tell you about that, his wife and 2 kids, because you know why he's doing it? Because he's passionate about this community, because he was born and raised here. And as we move forward, I think it's only fitting that we do something. Hold on one second.
What are you doing? There's something with that one.
I got one over.
It's only once in a lifetime you get to change the landscape of an entire community. There's only one man that stood in the door and said, we have to do this. I don't care how crazy it sounds or what we do. But this article came out in the State's Graphic, and it said change the landscape. And him and I talked about it all the time. We changed the landscape by creating the City Hall space. We changed the landscape by the Ford Training Center. Now others are paying attention. We just got a grant for $1.9 million to change the landscape by building a community resource center. Joe, you've been the tip of the spear. And for that, we say thank you.
You got me.
Y'all come on up, family. Y'all spend a lot of time listening to all this stuff. Joe's my new brother. These are my niece and nephew and my sister-in-law. So I want you to come up and get a picture. I didn't have an easel to put it on, but this is important. Grab the other side of that. All right.
I really don't know where I'm looking.
Right. But I want to say thank you. I think this is, you want you to take this home and hang it up.
I don't know what to. I don't know what to say. They spend a lot of time listening on, believe me, they have gotten to where they just leave the room when I'm on the phone. But, yeah, we do. The last 2 years, we've talked a lot. We've done a lot.
And we've made a lot of progress.
Yeah.
And we're gonna find ourselves, where people are, these resources are coming to us. So it'd be only fitting if when you go before them, you have something to present yourself with.
You just keep on.
Yeah, I mean, but you've done this without asking for any money, for any recognition. Just you appreciate the work. And I want to say on behalf of the city council and the entire city of Brownsville, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you. All right.
All right. Next time I'll come ask for some money.
We catch it on.
All right, now we'll move down to more business on our agenda tonight. We have Matt Woods here from ATA. I did do a brief presentation. We'll go ahead and prove the audit, but Matt's gonna give us a brief overview and answer any questions, and then we'll talk about, on a separate action item, we'll look at his contract for new audit.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, good to see everybody, been a minute. I just want to say the audit is an unmodified opinion, which means it's a clean audit opinion. That basically states that we believe the numbers are free of material misstatement or any evidence of fraud. There's a few pages I'll look at tonight. One, in the government as a whole, which means we add in all the capital assets and the long-term debt. It's called the government-wide financial statements. At the end of this year is $25.87 million net position. Of this amount, 4.15 is considered unrestricted. Obviously, the big gap in that is our capital assets. There's a category called net investment in capital assets. So it's all capital assets that the city has, minus all the long-term debt used to get those assets. That makes up the majority of it. This category is what I always call as if you treated the city like a business. That's what those numbers represent. The total net position increased by 3.58 million compared to 2.66 last year. So again, not to get into the weeds too much, but basically that number is able to increase so much because we pulled out the expenses that relate to the capital assets. They don't show up at that point, but the depreciation expense does. So that's why that number is what it is. The general fund balance at the end of the year was 4.82 million. That's a decrease of 558,000. Majority of that obviously is just capital expenditures. It's just spending, finishing up City Hall, finishing up other things. Again, you gotta kind of go back to the end of 22 calendar year for some of this conversation. So I won't point to way too many numbers. If I said that we had a lot of capital asset activity related to City Hall, related to other projects in the community, we had a lot of grants that I'll show you in just a moment. We did perform a single audit, which means we had more than $750,000 in federal grant expenditures this year. So we have to test grant expenditures at a deeper level, I guess is how I'd say it, whereas we look at all reimbursements and whether the expenditures matching up with it makes sense with the reimbursement. When it comes to that, we take what actually comes from the White House called the compliance supplement for a specific grant and test everything about everything about it. So for 2023, that was the ARPA funding. It was the largest grant we had in 2023. All of that came back good, no finding related to any of the grant activity there, so everything's good. The large changes from one year to the next, every board meeting I go to, I say the same thing. So 2023 financial statements, your pension plan is actually as of June 30, 2022. You gotta go back a few years in time now at this point. So investments in the period of 2022 at the state of Tennessee didn't do great. If you look, I'll show you a page in the financial statements in a minute, where in theory, the allocated portion to the city of Brownsville was a loss of like $700,000 on the investment. Now, that's following a year where those same investments made $4 million, okay? So, again, not to get into the weeds, but that change in investment has to be amortized over a 5-year period. And what it did, for, the city of Brownsville, specific to, the TCRS pension plan, is it took, last year you had an asset of 1.9 million, this year you have a net pension liability of 663,000. So, it's nothing y'all did, it's nothing you changed, it's nothing that happened at City Hall, that we hired 100 people, none of that happened, okay? So it is, investments went bad in '22, investments are good in '23. So when if I stand before this council again a year from now, I'll say the same thing going the opposite way, okay? So it has very little impact, on the decisions we make here, as long as we stay in the same range. It's all based on investment activity. So I can give you one number. I know these financial statements are 100 and some pages at this point. I've got one that's 200 pages, and it's like reading a novel, right? That you can't digest it. But everywhere that I go, I give the same number. For general fund activity, we can look at a lot of different things. I can tell you cash went up or down. I can tell you how much we spent on capital assets, but all that's decision making one year to the next. Whatever I say this year, you can make every decision in the world to make it go the opposite way the next year. But what I try and look at is fund balance in the general fund, which at this year is 4.82 million. That's not cash. I know that's a misunderstanding with people. We can spend all that. Well, that is our starting point, is how I'd say it. That is our starting point when we get to a budget process, which you've already done for the next one this time, the 24 one. When you get to that budget process, fund balance is where we start, right? I mean, yes, we know what our revenues and expenditures we want to be is, but fund balance is the one thing we can draw upon if necessary. So we look at fund balance, 4.8 million, as a percentage of our budgeted expenditures in the year we're auditing, which is 14 some odd $14 million in this audit, and we give you that as a percentage, okay? Outside of cities that are next door to Memphis, cities that are next door to Nashville, that don't have all the infrastructure requirements that they have, those cities can have 100 and something percent. That's honest truth. They have a lot of opportunity to get a lot of funding because they're that close to a huge city, without all the requirements of a huge city. And then I can go to small town USA, and that percentage can be almost zero, because it's a zero-sum game every year to pay for what we need. Y'all's percentage this year is 36%. That is healthy. 25% is what we call healthy. It means you got a starting point. That's all it means. It means that when you're taking on the budget process, you don't have to think, do I have to take out debt to operate? Do I have to take out debt because we've got this one little project over here? Debt's not a scary thing if we got a huge project we need to take a part of. I don't ever go against debt. But between the grant funding which you have, over $2 million in my year here, Mayor talked about another one a moment ago. The grant funding, y'all have been consistently, aggressive. I mean, I don't know what the right term is. You've been consistent for the last 5 or 6 years, especially in going after grants that benefit the community, and keeping our numbers year to year, very consistent. But overall, the rest of the financial statements, net pension liability is really the only item that has a big swing, and that's the one out of your control, right? I mean, we don't have much control over that. The only finding we had from internal control, community development fund, was over budget, but it was strictly nothing we worry about because it was an expenditure that happened right at year end that really didn't have time to get before the council. You knew about, I can read in board minutes that we knew about the expenditure, we just didn't get all of it done. We're gonna get that done going forward. It's not a concern to us, it's not one we worry about because we know when stuff like that happens. Besides that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Everything else is remarkably consistent from last year, but clean audit opinion, no findings on the single audit, which has become as important truly, because if we start having findings in the grant world, it impacts what we can get grant-wise or not. And your data collection form was filed timely this year, which is good, by March 31st. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? All right. 36%, which is more than healthy, no debt, 4.8 million in our fund balance, general fund.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, but we also, while we at it, do we need to take action on this since we approved it in our last meeting?
approved it last time.
All right, what we need to do is, take action on your contract. What we have before us tonight also is the contract. You want to give us a kind of brief overview? It's pretty standard,
So-
same thing.
So state of Tennessee, obviously, I'm sorry, Comptroller's Office requests CPA firms contract with cities for municipalities. Comptroller's Office does all the counties. Mayor, I honestly can't quote you the numbers, but I know what I've done on every city, and I know what I probably did on yours. We increased the audit fee, but we're lowering, there's a new thing that came out, the crosswalk, fee that was required in 23's audit for the first time, where we have to take, city hall's financial statements, school district's financial statements, that we have to change their chart of accounts into a method that can be pasted on the state website, so that grant agencies call the state and says, hey, we need somebody that does X, Y, Z. They can quickly pull up a line item that says, City of Brownsville or city whoever, is involved in those kind of activities, call them, reach out to them. They can quickly answer. I was in a training today, that they're 75% done with municipalities in the state of Tennessee, meaning, they're trying to compile a lot of data in an easy way so that they don't have to read a 120-page document. We've lowered that fee to kind of make up for any increases in audit fee, but we're trying to stay fairly standard. I can't quote it to you, Mayor, but 4 or 5%, something like that.
Okay, yeah, the, our total audit fee is $40,800, the crosswalk municipal charter of accounts is $3,500. Brings to a total of, estimated contract cost of $44,300. That sound right? You the numbers?
I figured that one upon time.
All right.
Hard for me to remember yesterday.
Yeah. Any questions? At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the contract, for auditing fees for the ATA firm. Do I hear a motion? Motion, do I hear a second? Been moved and properly second. Any questions, concerns? Hear none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it know by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Contract approved. Thank you, Matt. All right, the next thing we have on our item is a action item for Ms. Gwen Watson from the Property Assessor's Office. Is gonna give us an update on the appraisals and reappraisals. And before as she's come forward, let me say thank you to Ms. Batchelor and the entire team, for making sure that we get these numbers in, making sure we hammer them out, making sure we share the vision with Brownsville. So, thank you, Ms. Batchelor, for all that you do and your team. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Watson?
Mayor Rawls had asked us to come and speak to y'all about the reappraisal.
Step right on that microphone if you don't mind. There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
So when we came and talked to Mayor Rawls and Ms. Sherry, the notices hadn't went out yet. We didn't really know what the values were gonna do or what they were gonna be. So those went out at the end of April, and of course residential went up the most. All values went up, but residential went up the most, around 70-something%, somewhere in that area. Our board meets June the 3rd. That's the first Monday in June, and we have to be available 10 days unless, we have, more appointments than usual. So he wanted us to explain about the certified tax rate, and that certified tax rate won't come in until the board adjourns. And after the board adjourns, we'll send in the numbers to the state, and then they will in turn send me a copy of the certified tax rate for the county, the city, and the city of Stanton. And then, of course, I will bring that around to each of y'all, but Ms. Goley's gonna explain a little bit about how the certified tax rate works.
The certified rate goes on a reappraisal. In every reappraisal, the values take an increase. And what happens to the tax rate is it comes down to what's called a certified rate, which will bring in the same amount of funding to fund the cities and counties and the city status budgets. The certified rate, as Ms. Watson said, will be presented. Now, it's up to the city board, county commission, and the city of Stanton to raise that rate if they see the need to do that. But I believe a public hearing has to be held before you can actually raise it. But the certified rate will be set through the Office of State Assessed Properties, Division of Property Assessments, and that rate usually once the board adjourns and all the changes have been made, or any changes that need to be made from the appeals, then those changes will be sent to, will be signed off on by the board, and that assessment from all those changes, if any, will then be sent to the state, and they will turn, usually a couple of days, they'll turn around and send a certified rate. And that rate will generally be lower than the current rate.
Okay. Questions from, I think one of the things that's kind of is a little cumbersome and awkward for us at the time. You know, we're in the budget process, have to file our budget with the state comptroller's office by the end of July. So we always like to have it, and you don't want to start your budget off a month behind. So we always and have been doing a really good job of filing our budget and implemented by July 1st. But we won't need that certified tax rate to probably the end of June.
Right, but as Ms. Watson said, the board has to be available for 10 days, from June the 3rd to June 14th. Now, depending on the amount of appeals that we have, they can go an extended time. So it just depends on how many, we started taking appointments today. And so, the first day is already kind of full for that day. So like I said, June the 14th will be their last day that they're required to be in session. But if other appeals come in, they can't go beyond that time. So it's up to the amount of appeals, it's up to what the hearings are.
Now, what cycle we on for the reappraisal? Are we in 2, 3, 4, 5? 5 years. Okay. I know there was some flexibility there.
It's four, the counties, the state says you have 4, 5, or 6 year cycle.
Right.
Haywood County's on a 5-year cycle.
Okay. I think the big question everybody's asking too is like, will our taxes increase this amount? But, I mean, if somebody came in and asked us a question, of course, we're gonna send them to your office. But just in the general public, just for people out here, when people say, well, are my taxes gonna go up by this amount? What would be a short answer for them?
Well, of course, the assessor doesn't assess taxes.
Right.
The assessor does the assessment and turns it over to the trustee and the tax jurisdiction to collect. Now, when people saw the increase, as Ms. Watson said, the percentage of increase for the residential was about 70%, a little bit higher than 70%. So some people's values doubled, some a little above double. So the first thing they're thinking is, my value's double, my tax is gonna double. Well, it potentially would double based on the current rate.
Mm-hmm.
But people fail to look at it. Of course, if you're not familiar with it, you hadn't worked in it, the certified rate got to come down. So they're looking at, well, this is what the tax rate is now, my values went this way, my taxes are gonna go this way. So that's where it comes to you all and the other taxing jurisdictions to decide what the rate is.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next question is, why did my property go up so high in value? That's a good question for you. What would I tell somebody that had that question?
Why'd your property go up?
Yeah, why did the appraisal value go so high?
Well, the last appraisal was 2019, is that right?
Okay.
2019, so you're on a 5-year cycle. So we have influences here now that were not here 5 years ago. One of them being close to Blue Oval. And also to note, the sales that we're seeing that's coming in now, even though we've got the new values are still coming in less than what they're selling for.
Okay. Those just questions that
Sure.
I hear. Are there any questions from the Alderman, Board of Alderman?
So, just to be 100% clear, the only way your taxes are gonna be raised, city or county taxes, if the city board votes to raise those taxes, or the county board votes to raise those taxes, and then it will go through a public hearing process.
If you go,
To do that,
if you
yeah.
go, once Ms. Watson presents to you all the
Yeah.
certified rate,
Yeah.
and you decide to go above that rate, or you can go below that rate. Then if you decide to go above that rate or below that rate, the public hearing will be held, so that the public knows that this is what the new rate is. And of course, the new rate's gonna be based on whatever rate you all set, because then you have these values over here that have increased. So, it potentially could see some increase, but not as much, it depends on what the rate does.
Okay. And the time period for the appeals are starting when, today?
June 3rd.
June 3rd through
To June 14th.
14th.
But they can be extended beyond that depends on the volume of the appeal.
What would someone have to do to make an appointment at your office to?
Just call the office.
Any other questions? All right. Thank y'all for coming.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you again.
Okay.
All right. All right, now we have a couple ordinances on our agenda for tonight. There are 3 ordinances on the second reading, which in all second readings on the ordinances of the city of Brownsville have a public hearing built into it. Also, by state legislation, there is a opportunity for anyone to speak for 2 minutes about anything that's on the agenda at the end of the agenda. But each ordinance will take individually on the second reading. Mr. Shelton Merrill, please. We're ordinance number 1017, 1018, and 1019.
All right, Alderman. Are there any questions on the ordinance? This is a simple ordinance that incorporates duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes into the definition for multifamily.
Okay. This city proceed to favor recommendation from the planning commission to pass, city council on the first reading. At this time, we close out our session and go into a public hearing. Does anyone have any questions or comments or concerning the ordinance number 1017 to redefine the definition of multifamily? Okay. Hearing none, we'll go back into our session. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 1017 on the second reading. Do I hear a motion? Motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
You moved to second. Any questions, concerns? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, let it know by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. 1017 is now law. Ordinance number 1018, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This ordinance is adopting design review guidelines. Are there any questions on the ordinance? It's just basically incorporating design review guidelines that was once, that originally was prepared by LRK, and these are somewhat different, but incorporate some of the principles into the zoning ordinance, and it just lays out different criteria for development. And are there any questions? It's recommended by the planning commission.
So, Mr. Merrill, so if somebody has a question, who's the city, you the city point of contact?
Yes, sir.
So all questions from developers or builders will be directed to you?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Ordinance number 1018 does empower the Design Guidelines Review Committee, which is a subcommittee of the Planning Commission, which will, when we say we want things of quality in our community, just gets more specific about what they look like, and then those details are here. Did receive a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission, did pass the City Council on the first reading. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 1018 on the second reading.
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Okay. Also, at this time, before we call for the vote, I want to open up for a public hearing. I want to close out our session. Are there any questions or comments from the public on ordinance number 1018? Okay, we'll close out the public session, go back into our session. Are there any other questions or concerns from all? We do have a motion on the floor. All in favor, let it know by the sign of aye. Those opposed, nay. Ordinance number 1018 becomes law. Ordinance number 1019, rezone of the tap property. This is a, received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission to rezone the tap property on Jefferson, or what we call Mercer Road. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, the aforementioned property that the mayor mentioned is rezoning tax parcel 12, Haywood County Tax Map 04, O, Group B. It's rezoning that parcel from general commercial to high-density residential. The predominant zoning in that particular area is R3. It's adjacent to an R3 district, and probably the property would be better suited for an R3 development. And so the planning commission unanimously recommended in favor of it.
Okay, we'll close out our session now. As always, on the second reading of ordinance, we're open for public hearing or comments. Are there any questions, comments, concerns from the public? Okay, hearing none, we'll close that out and go back into our session. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 1019 on the second reading. Do I hear a motion? Motion. Do I hear a second? Been moved and properly second. Are there any questions, concerns, or corrections? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, let it know by the sign of aye. Those opposed, nay. Okay. Ordinance number 1019 passed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right. At this time, we have resolution number 1061. It's a Parks and Recs master plan. You don't have any, you know what's Jones not even mentioned this, okay. What we have before us is a master plan. Of course, this original plan was implemented in 2016 or 2017. I just remember Mayor Franklin Smith and myself, we got a grant for $60,000 to create a Parks and Recs master plan. We then took care of the 20% match from both entities. This put a plan in, was a 5-year plan, and now we have to update it in order to get any Parks and Recs grants. So we know we need grants, this was a stipulation put into place. We're the first community in the state of Tennessee to get a grant for the Parks and Recs master plan. what we've done now, because we want to continue to use grant funding, as has been noted in the audit, to do parks and recs mass funding. We want to put walking trails, parks, quality of life, infrastructure products into our community. So in order to do that, you gotta have this Parks and Recs master plan. We did have public hearings. Our HVAC engineer, engineer went to the Parks and Recs board to get input from there. It's extensive, but it's just an update of what we require. This plan will now take us from 2024 to 2034. So with this plan in place, this is a guideline. This is not written in law, but what it does is because a lot of the homework has been put into place. It's a very extensive document. It also has things I can highlight. We talk about the swimming pool. We know that's been an issue that is in here, updated version of that.
On Saturday, and we're gonna do our cruise in on Sunday this year instead of in the grass area on Saturday. And we want to do that on the concrete and the code on Sunday.
Okay. Any questions for Sonia? She had presented a certificate of liability insurance to be adjacent to this request.
Make a motion, we approve the roadblock permit.
So moved. So moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved, properly second. Any questions, concerns? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, let it know by the sign of aye. Those opposed, nay. Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you.
All right, now we get into the part of our agenda where we have our reports. First up is our community development report. Mr. Krista Matthews.
Good afternoon. Is there any questions regarding the community development report? I do have a couple of updates from when I submitted your information in your packet. We did receive final payment reimbursement for the highway rail grade crossing improvement project for $41,139. On the multimodal grant, they had to resubmit the right-of-way plans back to TDOT, and we should have an update by the end of May. Also, with the downtown improvement grant, bid was held on 5/9 in reliable restorations. They submitted a bid for $24,850. And with the, as you can see in your package, with the Safe Streets Fall, we do have a safety action plan survey that is included. And also, if anyone wants to scan, we do have a QR code and we have the PDF. This survey is to collect input from the residents on the type of projects that should be considered and how proposed recommendations should be prioritized through both the city and the state for roadways. And this survey, they're gonna collect the data. Hopefully we'll have enough data by the end of May. If not, they'll extend it then.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Matthews for the community development report, which is basically centered around our grant. Next on our agenda, because we have our financial management report, Ms. Sherry Bass.
Are there any questions or concerns like expenditures and revenue for the month of April?
Ms. Baxter, just a question, we're close obviously to the end of the year, we got May and June. Do you foresee any significant budget amendments?
I have one budget amendment, and I have it in our package back, but that's the only one that I foresee. Unless something just happens out of the blue, this is the only one I foresee.
I just saw in some of those lines, we were 100% or so, but obviously we probably know that, but I'm sure you're watching that like a hawk. I know you are, as a matter of fact.
So, we do have one budget amendment and one of those debt tonight, but anything else concerning the expenditures of the revenues?
Yeah, we're tracking right on target. It's amazing. All right, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the financial management report as presented. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Do I hear a second? It's been moved and properly second. Any questions, concerns? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it know by the sign of aye. Those opposed, nay. Okay, Ms. Baxter, question.
Then we do have one budget amendment, and it is to bring some items in line, because we will get very close on some items. So, this budget amendment is for $454,000, and it is just moving money in between lines, and that's all it is. Our budget fund balance is just moving the money in between the lines.
In those columns, you'll see the original budget increase and decrease. creating a budget amendment, and everything balances out. Okay. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the budget amendment. Do I hear a motion? So moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any questions, concerns? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it know by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries for approval. Okay, next on the agenda tonight, we have a mayor's report. We've been quite busy, doing a lot of things. Of course, we had our business expo that was led by Ms. Lena Rowe, but we had a multitude of businesses coming to the National Guard Armor's humid that day, but, we had a lot of good energy around what small businesses and services look like for the city of Brownsville and for Haywood County. Great turnout, great program. We attended the United Way's Ladies Luncheon. I do serve as the chairman of the board. Our keynote speaker was Ms. Valerie June, who's a native of Humboldt, Tennessee, and being nationally recognized as an up-and-coming artist, a Grammy Award nominated songwriter and writer and singer. Also, I had the opportunity to go to got a lot of blue on there though. I went to the opportunity to go to the SYS, Sports Youth Fair. Don Englishman, he always recognizes and wants us to participate and help him. And sometimes he doesn't ask for the help he needs, but we want to keep him on front and center because he does a lot for our children in the community. Trey Smith, one of our Kansas City Chiefs. If you see the chief with the chief on the bottom right-hand corner, he was able to come in town to launch and bring awareness to hunger in our community, a food service program. He was on a tour throughout West Tennessee, and you know his parents, his family, they're from right here in Brownsville, Tennessee. So thank you for looking out and giving back. We had our annual health fair, and this year we incorporated a 5K walk in honor of our bicentennial celebration. We have a lot of participation from the city employees and from the community. We had a lot of good screenings. It was a beautiful day, great participation. The run was a nice touch. Thank you, Crystal. It was a nice touch that brought everybody together. And after runners finished the race, they were able to participate with the vendors, and the vendors all got to network. A lot of these events are social. Not only they take on a physical aspect of health, but a mental aspect. During COVID, we lost touch with each other. We just find ourselves face down looking at our phones, but this was the opportunity for us to be together, and a good one. I also trying to shore up our relationships with Memphis, Tennessee. They act as an anchor on the other end, and the problems in Memphis have escalated, but I have definitely established a relationship with Chief Crow. Don Crow, you'll see him on the news, quiet, humble, super nice guy. He's a steady Eddie. He always is on the job and always willing to support anything we need in Memphis. And they always recognize and recognize us as being a sister city. The military chief, C.J. Davis, she's the real deal. She gets it, she understands the big picture, and she surrounds herself with some really positive people. And of course, on the right hand is Mayor Paul Young, who I've known and worked with through the Delta Leadership Institute, through the DRA. And we just established a relationship. So I have individual and collective relationships. They were doing a one Memphis tour. My sister works for the employee program. She said, hey, so-and-so's here. And I was around the corner, and I found myself in the heart of Orange Mound and being very well received by the Memphis Police Department and Mayor. Governor Bill Lee, there was big news. He came to Brownsville, Tennessee to sign the Elvis Act into law. And he did a tour of the West Tennessee Delta Heritage Center. And he actually took his time to spend some time here with us. We just see him in the top right-hand corner. So I'm presenting with a challenge coin. To face the challenges that have been presented before him, the state of Tennessee and Brownsville, Haywood County. But this particular visit didn't feel rushed. It was not just running off to the next event, but I actually took some time to sign the bill, but to take time to interact with the people here in Brownsville, and even went to Livingston's and had lunch. So it was a good day to shine a spotlight in a positive way on Brownsville and the state of Tennessee. I attended the Strawberry Festival on Friday. You see me with my West Star graduates up to the top, Mr. Pete Johnson. I can't see the lady, the mayor there, and then of course our superintendent from our neighboring county, Representative Johnny Shaw. Of course, Governor Lee was there again, and the lady in the red is Ms. TriStar, representing the 3 stars on the flag. And we've invited her to come participate with us at our XF56 Blues Festival, and she agreed. So it was a beautiful day and a great social networking opportunity. The swag lunch was held by the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Sheree. They've done their annual swag luncheon to represent the women. And our participant and our nominee was Judy Miles from the police department. One of those unsung heroes, they had to drag her. Chief had to drag her to the event because she just said, I don't want to go, I want to stay here and work, I don't wanna go. So she didn't know that she was an honorary, so it felt good to recognize her for her and all the work doing managing the grants and the things she does with the police department. She's a good one. We had just yesterday, we did a move with the mayor. We were threatened with rain. We had a great participation with the police department. And the lady you see walking with me, that's Miss Juanita Austin. She's 71 years old. She does multiple laps every morning in Heritage Park. She was my first babysitter when she was in high school. And what an honor to walk alongside this lady. She's been to 7 continents, every continent on the planet she's traveled to. But she's retired. She's back here in Brownsville. She has some artifacts she wants to share with us. And just in old fashion, her mother was Miss Jean. Miss Jean lived across the street from us, and she would walk off, but she always had a stick, you know, because to keep the dogs away from her, you know. So I didn't notice it now, but that's tradition. Hardworking lady, and then all the participants. You see my other Miss Jean in the red, Miss Jean Carney, who's participated, and she's 80 plus, but I attended her birthday last year, and just seeing everybody out in the fire department, and that is Mr. Shelton Merrill right there in the front of the upper right-hand corner, walking. So, like I said, these are not only physical activities, but they're social activities as well. So we get to walk and talk together. The department renovations, we've continued to reinvest into our infrastructure to make things good for our employees. This is the fire department. These cabinets, this flooring, and painting had been touched in years. So we were able to put in budget, in compliance, without any debt for the city of Brownsville, reinvest into our employees. So the fire department did do a great job of supporting everything. Thank you, Chief. Chief Sanders is there, and he was at the walk yesterday, and not only did he walk, he ran. Chief still got some moves on it. And I can't say enough about the fire department, how diversified, young, and how did they act as a family. They're part of our bigger family. And so we were happy to be able to do these renovations inside the fire department. I showed Miss Flagg, I called out one Sunday. She said, when did they do this? Because not much gets past our vice mayor, but this renovation did, but we're proud of it. We continue to celebrate our bicentennial year, founded in 1824, reborn in 2024. As I announced, we'll come back with more details about phase 1 of our community facilities grant. We received a $1.9,880,000 grant from ECD to build a resource center. The original grant was within budget for a 6,500 square foot building, but I see things bigger. I see the opportunity to go ahead and build it once for all, not just for today, but for tomorrow. I also had the chance to participate in a panel discussion to Red Cross. Thank you, Mr. Banks. He's coming in as the chair of that particular organization, and it's been functioning across the world for over 100 years. So, and they do a really good job in partnering with the fire department here, helping people in floods and fire. The police sky cop, we were able to. Chief, you want to come up and just kind of give us a quickie on what it happened? We had a series of shootings in North Brownsville that were going back and forth on Saturday and Sunday about 2 weeks ago. Because of some forward thinking from our police department and funding, Chief Debo still consulted us, our grant writer, and could you tell us exactly where those sky cops were placed?
Good evening. So what we were seeing, we got a lot of complaints in our neighborhood of just random shootings in the neighborhood. So I was not a big fan of Sky Cop at first. Talked to some officers in Memphis and some executives there, and our biggest issue was, they don't shoot these cameras down. But Memphis, they're untouched. We put one on Scott Street, the first one we tried, where the biggest call volume was, and it eliminated every issue we had on Scott. So we just went on the plan to put them throughout the city, and it's working. We had 3 more installed. We had Tibbs Road, North McLemore area, we got Fairground, we got Beechwood, and phase 2 we'll start on the south end of town, and we'll install a few more as the budget allows. But so far so good, Mayor. Nobody's bothering the cameras, and now crime rate and the shootings and everything is going down, call volume and everything. It's working good.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Yes, sir.
So y'all monitor, I know 911 monitors those.
Right.
Do y'all have any way to monitor them?
We do. We monitor from our phones. We monitor from the desktop computers. So right now, the assistant chief and I monitor, the supervisors, and drug task force.
I know Vice Mayor Flagg carried me out there with 911, and the resolution on those cameras are,
It is awesome, the newer model cameras they're putting inside the boxes, it surprised us the other day with the zoom capabilities and resolution of it, so.
Thank you, Chief. Just going a little out of order on the agenda, Chief Sanders, are there any other department heads that have a report, anything they wanna highlight tonight? Good, everybody's good, okay. All right, so then now we're going to Alderman reports, Alderman Pugh.
One thing I have is a Park and Rec cultural arts, they'll be having live on the lawn every Thursday in June, starting at 7 o'clock, featuring the Jackson Symphony, and more events they'll have every Thursday in June, summer camp at the Scotts Creek Community Center will be starting on June the 3rd until July the 12th. That's all I have.
Alderman Bishop.
No report.
Vice Mayor Flagg.
I'd like to thank everyone that you came out of the schedule to take part in the picnic on last Saturday. There's a lot going on in Round Tennessee, but we had a good crowd, the weather was perfect, and I think everyone that did attend just enjoyed it. And I don't have my report for the department, I had it on the next, good one.
Okay. Yeah, the community picnic was a great idea, it was well carried out, beautiful day in Volunteer Park. Of course, Ms. Ann Jones' mother passed, so I was there doing remarks along with some other city employees, were there to support her. But, it was beautiful, and we got a great support again from the fire department, and the police department that comes in. Public Works, thank you for Public Works for grilling the food, and they've set up everything. It was really nice. Okay, I'm sorry.
I will have a neighborhood watch meeting in June, the school is out, and I just kind of feel like we need to get together with the parents and talk to them and about children being on the street, so we will have a neighborhood watch meeting, talking up in June. And I don't know if you all know anything about it, but we're gonna have pickleball in June, so we don't have all the details, but we're definitely gonna have it, so we'll get a sign-up sheet, and anyone can sign in, it's free. If you don't know what pickleball is, this is a good time for you to come to the tennis court over at
College Hill,
and find out what pickleball is. I don't know either, Ms. Bachelor knows, but I don't know. So y'all come, and everybody that don't know, she's gonna have to teach her.
also another opportunity to be social and be physical. You know, Hayward County is one of the most obese counties in the state of Tennessee. You have to do that one person, one citizen at a time. Alderman Taylor? No report for tonight. I also want to take the time to recognize our junior city council members. Thank y'all for coming. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank y'all for taking the time to be involved and be engaged about what happens in the city, because it's going to affect you more than it will us. At this time, we have as required by law, we have a public comments. Are there any public comments? We're limited to 2 minutes about anything that's on tonight's agenda. Any public comments? Okay. Hearing none, at this time I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion? Do I hear a second? Everybody in favor, get up and go home.